Second side strike that we're going to cover will be the turning kick. Now the turning kick is a very powerful yet fast technique if done correctly. Let's take a look at how the turning kick is different from the other techniques that we covered. Our other techniques, whether they're front facing or side facing, such as the side kick, delivered your techniques straight on to your opponent, to where the turning kicks come on an angle around your opponent's body. So if I'm facing my opponent front to front, on the front leg I'm able to deliver my techniques to the back of his legs, to his back, or to the back of his head. Using my rear leg, I'm able to deliver tie kicks low, turning kicks to his midsection, as well as turning kicks to the side of his head. The difference between the turning kick is it comes on an angle around your opponent's body instead of straight on. Okay? So at this time, set yourself in a right leg back, walking or fighting stance. Again, establish a good stance and make sure your hands are up in front of you. The biggest problem that students have, beginners from advanced, is they drop their hands. When they prepare, their hands go down, and when your hands go down, it interrupts your balance and it doesn't allow you to have a good shield or a good guard. Okay? So establish your good stance. Now I want you to do the same push-off that we've done in all our rear kicks. Get your body momentum going. So push off. This time, instead of bringing the knee straight up like we've done with the front snap kick and the side kick and the vertical kicks, I want you to push off and bring it around the body on an angle around, tucking the heel into the buttocks and keeping the knee out in front of you. The striking area for the turning kick will be either the top of the foot or to pinpoint certain areas, such as striking into the groin or striking into the temples, will be using the ball of the foot, just like we did in our front snap kicks. Okay, so let's go back. So the initial push-off, bring the leg around the body, on an angle around, and get the momentum and bring the leg in front of you. The knee is going to determine, the height of the knee determines where the kick will be executed at. If the angle is low, the kick will become low. If the angle is midsection, again midsection, and if the height of the knee is angled upward, the kick will be delivered on an angle upward. Okay? Now, just like our side kick, and now the turning kick, the height is going to be determined by the Chinese splits. So that splits plays a big part in the height of these two kicks. Okay? Let's take a look at now your equal and opposite reaction force of the turning kick. We had the initial push-off. Knee to the chest, knee to the chest as far as possible, but the heel to the buttocks is the main thing I'm looking for, because this is our distance. If we become very lazy and half extend the leg already, this already has taken away half the power in our technique. So from our push-off, it's important that the knee is in the angle, or the knee is going to direct the kick, is in the angle, or the knee is going to direct the kick, but the heel's to the buttocks. This allows us that full range to develop speed, which again contributes to power in our foot technique. Now, just like we did in the side kick, I need to have you turn the base leg in the opposite direction. This gave us good balance. This enabled us also to get equal and opposite reaction force in our techniques. If you're striking with the top of the foot, the instep of the foot, I need to have you turn your hip over to where the turning kick, comes on an angle here, and just before it attacks, it drives downward. The toes have to be pointed to the floor as much as possible. Just like in the side kick. When we finished our technique, the toes are executed, or when you execute it, the toes are pointed towards the floor as much as possible. This gets the larger muscles involved in the kick. Okay? Let's start with now the rear leg turning kick. Let's start at a comfortable height. Let's do the initial push-off. You're going to aim with the knee, the heels to the buttocks. We're going to strike with the top of the foot at this time. Keep the hands up in front of you and bend the base leg for balance. Slowly execute the technique, retract it, and set it back down behind you. Do a few. Let's critique yourself on any preparations or balance. And again, keeping your hands up. From here, push off, make it one movement. As you push off from the floor, this is going to give me my torque, or start to turn my body. So I push off, I turn, I aim with the knee, keeping the hands in front of me. The hands aren't down to the side, they're up in front for a shield. Execute, return the base leg over, retract it, and set it back down. Don't execute and fall in. Execute it, retract it, back to the body. Either step down in front or now step down behind. Good. Let's try a few more now, but now let's get the fluid into it, okay? Get the technique a little more fluid. Don't want to make it robotic. Push off, rotate, and you're going to change hands positions. Right now the left hand's in front, the right hand's in back. As the right leg comes forward, so does the right hand simultaneously. It's for a shield. It gets my balance and it keeps my guard up front. So watch. The hand and the foot work together. Prepare, execute the technique, and back down. Again, don't worry about speed, don't worry about power. You'll work on those after you've got the preparations and the execution down of this technique. Okay? A few more. Let's work it now. Let's work it just with keeping it fluid, keeping it very fluid. Don't make it robotic. Don't come up, stop, execute. Same as our side kick. I want to push off the floor. I make a half a circle and shoot it right back out. I don't bring it up and stop. I push off and it's one. It's one technique. From the initial beginning to the end, it doesn't stop. It's never interrupted. Okay? Let's look at it now with the front leg. Again, you're in that fixed stance. Why? Because we have to establish a good stance to work from, a good foundation to work from. So I'm in my fixed stance. Let's make it a fighting stance. You're in a 50-50 push off with the front leg, making a weight distribution, making it 80-20. Again, as the foot comes up, the lead hand comes up and tucks tight to the body. You should be looking over this kick like this. If you can look how I am, I'm crunched over my kick. I'm not leaning back. A lot of people feel to get the height in their kicks, they need to lean their body down. That's not true. You need to be properly stretched out, which is in your Chinese splits. Okay, so back to the front leg. 50-50, push off the front leg, make it 80-20, bend the base leg, hands up in front, establish good preparation, execute it slowly, retract it, set it back down, work it slow so you can correct your balance. Remember, slow technique, the isometric techniques, identify the muscles only necessary for that technique, therefore strengthening them, toning them. Okay? Prepare, execute, retract it, try stepping down in front, and then execute it and try even stepping down back behind. So you can either step into your opponent so I can deliver a foot attack and now come in with hand attack, or I can deliver a foot attack and step back if I need to retreat from them. Work them front, work them back leg, change stances, work both legs on your own. Let's work it now just with a stepping in. Same thing as a side kick. And our other techniques, we need to close the gap and get more distance. Let's work at kind of a lunging in right now. With the back leg, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to push off, make my preparation, and as I do, see what I do? I skip that base leg that allowed me that extra foot. So I'm longer. See how long I am? I'm way away from long range. But I can make that up by as I push off and prepare, I take that momentum from that push off and take a little bit of it to hop myself forward. And still keeping it fluid, and before I've wasted my energy, throw that technique. Here's how it looks. Good. And you can even work some fakes in there too. With your hands up, as you go to make that change with your hands, so I push off with the rear foot. As I do now, the rear hand comes into play. It looks like I'm going to punch at you, therefore, throwing the technique out instead. Good. Work them jumping, work them lunging in, skipping in, just like we did with the side kicks. There you have the turning kick. The turning kick.